Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
May I have your attention, please? We're due to start at exactly 11, but there's running tea and coffee outside, so if you feel you need to grab some, you could do so. We'll be getting started in the next 15 minutes. Thank you.
Africa Summit soundtrack. Full Summit soundtrack. The 14th Connected Africa Summit soundtrack. Connected Africa Summit soundtrack.
Good morning. I hope you're feeling good. I hope your energies are high and ready for the next session and the next couple of days. I can see some people coming in. Please, when you come in, just find a comfortable seat. We have seats all the way in front here. If it's not reserved, feel free to reserve it. We will be starting shortly. There's a huge queue at the registration, so we're just trying to bring in everyone as quickly as possible. We're delighted to have you, and we can't wait to go along with the ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Those lights are so bright, I can hardly see any of you, so you'll mtaniwia radhi. I'd like to request those of us, if there's an empty seat in front of you, kindly make your way, just do a hop, apart from the cordoned off area here. If there's an empty seat, just make that hop to the front. And the reason for that is that we have very many other colleagues out there. And when they come, we don't want there to be that shuffling as they're trying to find a seat somewhere in between. So if you don't mind, I can't see people standing up, and there are lots of spaces. So if you don't mind, just scoot to the front if there's an empty seat in front of you, so that we can be cognizant of our other colleagues. Thank you for those heeding the call. I'll give us another 30 seconds to settle down. So ladies and gentlemen, let us kindly be upstanding for the national anthem of the Republic of Kenya and the East Africa Community Anthem, one stanza each.
O God of all creation,
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Hamjambo, you may have your seats, please. A good morning and a warm welcome to each and every one of you here at the Diamond Resort for Connected Africa 2025. Now in its second edition as the Africa Summit and the 14th edition in terms of the Summit series, we build on the momentum of past events. And of course, we are an amalgamation of industry leaders, policymakers, innovators, investors from Africa and beyond, looking to see how we can address some of the pressing challenges and also how to really take advantage of the nascent opportunities we have as a continent. One of the more recent outcomes was something called the Nairobi Declaration, which outlined 7 interventions that, if we focus on, can actually help catalyze some of our dreams and ambitions. This declaration was signed by no less than 14 African ICT ministers present at last year's summit. We must connect the dots of digital journey, vision to reality, to the continent's 2063 vision that provides a framework for the Africa we want. So I challenge us today to perhaps even imagine planting the seeds for the interventions or planting the seeds for the trees in whose shade we may never sit. It is my hope that across these 4 days that we will challenge ourselves more, that we will ask the hard questions, but most importantly, that we will apply ourselves towards solutions that actually drive collaboration and truly turn this vision into reality. My name is Mbogo Njehia. I'm a technology venture builder, and I'm passionate about seeing Africans become net creators of value, and it is a true honor to be able to facilitate the next 4 days with you as you unpack some more important and very impactful conversation. And of course, joining me for the 4 days is my co-host, Ms. Kibandi.
Hi, everybody. Hi. How you feeling? You're feeling good? Thank you very much, Mbugua, for that elaborate intro on the Connected series. Kindly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me appreciate my co-pilot, Mbugua. Thank you. As he has said, my name is Miss Kibandi, and I will be your co-pilot for the next 4 days. So please sit back, relax, and have fun, network, and just, feel good and take pictures and all that good stuff. So today here, we're not only passionate and precise, but we also need to do a bit of housekeeping to make sure that we keep everything running smoothly. So here's what you need to know. If you need a translation intercom, kindly just lift your hand, and one of the sound team guys will help you with that. Also, apart from that, we have breakout rooms right out of the plenary hall. This way around, we have about 4 breakout rooms where the breakout sessions will be happening. We also have the washrooms on that side and right behind on this side. If you need Wi-Fi, it is available. Just go to Safaricom Business. Right outside in the middle here, there is a really cute chill zone. We have nicknamed it the Quad Chill. Go there, take pictures, post them on your social media, and the hashtags for today are Connected Africa Summit 2025, CAS 2025, CAS 2025 Day 1, and hashtag Tupatane Diani, or maybe this is where we say Tuko Diani, right?
Kibandi, those are many hashtags. Do you agree?
Okay.
Those are many hashtags.
All
How
right.
many? I think connected. Let's go through them again. Connected
All right.
Africa
Connected Africa Summit 2025.
2025.
Right? And then CAS, just the shortened version of Connected Africa Summit. So CAS 2025, Day 1.
So we are here for 4 days. So I think just to be able to make it easier to follow the conversations, we'll have some that identify conversations on each and every day. So kindly oblige us. And fans of LinkedIn, I'm going to say something in Swahili. LinkedIn ni nusu ya kuonana. Many times if I've seen you on LinkedIn, I've seen you already. So, people meeting face to face here like, it's so nice to see you again. And, we haven't met since the last summit, but LinkedIn ni nusu ya kuonana.
All right. If you need the agenda on your phone, we have a QR code that the media team will display on the screen. Please scan it, and you will find the agenda there, the speakers, the various sessions that will be going on. Also, we have a huge exhibition area right behind here. Please take some time and visit the area, interact with the various booths. In there also is an overflow area. And of course, would like to take time to appreciate our sponsors who have made this platform
As you handle the technical issue, I'll just recap what Ms. Kibandi was saying. We do have an exhibition area, chock full of amazing things that we are building for Africa and beyond. So right outside this door to the left, there's a very well adorned path. Like if you're that guy who likes reading we have this, what's a lesso? What's a lesso in English? Someone without AI, what's a lesso in English? Let's call it this wraparound thing that our women love to adorn, right? With lots of African sayings. You can just literally be stuck in that corridor. So as you go there, you'll find an exhibition area that has all our exhibitors in there. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. Now, just so that we can keep things a bit more coordinated, when there are plenary sessions, we will actually be shutting down the exhibition area so that you can make your way here. If you look at your lanyard on the back, there are 2 QR codes. One will guide you to the agenda, and the other will guide you to an app that you need to download. And why do you need to download that app? It has everyone who's in attendance. So the smartest thing to do about such events is that you need to make great use of your time. Personally, I have 4 people I need to meet, and I'm booking meetings with them on that app. We do have around the quadrangle, there are 2 meeting rooms, breakout rooms. The next one is a speaker's lounge where our speakers go and get ready and get prep for their sessions. Right next, we have a meeting room. There are 7 tables there, and when you go on the app and say, I'm looking to meet maybe someone who's in the cloud space, whether you're a vendor, whether you're a potential customer, you get to book that meeting with them, and then you have an opportunity to go and meet there. You do not necessarily have to meet there. There are lots of chill out zones, as you have seen, and you can make use of all of them. Kibandi, back to you.
Sorry, that there's going to be very heavy winds in the next couple of days. So I don't know whether that's what blew off my mic. Anyway, or maybe it's the energy in the room, I guess. Anyway, so I will go through the list of sponsors who have made this possible. We appreciate you, sponsors. We're grateful for you. Under Ndovu, we have HPE by Selectum, Midis Group. Under Kifaru, we had Safaricom Enterprise Business and Financial Services, M-Pesa. Under Nyati, we had the AWS, Chui, Cisco, and KCB Bank. Under Duma, we had Fortinet, Tony Blair Institute for Global Change, Konza, GIZ, Communications Authority, and Huawei. And last but definitely not least, under Kiboko, we had Silicon Overdrive, Airtel, Seacom, Checkpoint, Near Fiber, Computech, Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, Loop, Telcom, and Telcom Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for our sponsors. Thank you very much.
Now, as you get started, kindly train your eyes on the screen so you can see the journey of Connected Through the Ages. Fantastic. Now, to get us started today, we have from the ICT Authority giving us a summit overview of 2025. You've seen the journey from 08 till 2024. To get us started with this, help me welcome on stage Director Shared Services, Mr. Michael Odhiambo. Karibu.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much. So I want to make a request. Please, if all the lights can come on. Please switch on the lights. I want to see the crowd. There's something we want to do just before we start. Is it possible? All right, and I request all of us to stand up, please. Please stand up. Please stand up. And then the people on my left, is this left? Yeah, left. So get to your phones, switch on your torchlight, and face the crowd on the right. Please, if you don't mind, the crowd on this side. Switch on your torch and face the guys on this side. So face them literally. Now, if you're on this side, take your phone, take a selfie of yourself with that background showing, all right? Please do that. So if you're on the right, take a selfie and make sure you can see the lights on your left. Take that photo, post it in those handles that you just shared, all right? Make sure you smile. I guess you can see why I wanted the lights on. My friends from Africa, we have challenges. Thank you. So can we do it the other way around? So on your right, switch on your flashlights. On the left, let's do the... And the whole idea is that after you take that photo, please upload it. Go to the hashtag. We want to see who's the darkest fellow in the room. Nice, nice. Thank you. So with that, you get to know who's using a fake phone, you know, which light is yellow and not white. So welcome everyone to Connected Africa Summit 2025, and thank you for that. I think just before I start, I noticed two things. I noticed when the MC introduced Kibandi, and she said, hi, the response was only from the men, which was a bit of concern to me. But nevertheless, so I'll be here, maybe just to take you through a quick rundown of what is connected. We have had a journey. There has been a short video that has been played, and I request to just take you through. Okay, there's nothing showing. Thank you. So it was mentioned that I think there were some videos that played, and the Connected Africa Summit started in the year 2009. This was originally a Kenyan affair. We had quite a lot happening, and from the year 2020 to 2021, we did not hold connected due to COVID. And I just want to do a very quick rundown of these things that happened. So it's been 11 years, but now it's actually 14, small typo there. We had various things happening, especially in 2023, but I just want to talk about the summit. We started the summit in the year 2009 through the Ministry of ICT and the digital economy at that time. That was predominantly done in Diani, and it became a Diani affair. And since then, we have had the opportunity to look at a number of things. We had a vision, and our vision was to look at the National ICT Thought Leadership Forum. So we looked at this as a Kenyan leadership forum at the time. We placed it around Easter, and every year during Easter, Diani was a place to be for us. This helped us to look at a lot of inclusive, progressive, and ICT networking opportunities for all of us here. Now, a few things worth mentioning. One is that we looked at reviewing various achievements that we have done in the industry. We looked at this as a networking opportunity across the country at the time. It was a knowledge-sharing experience, and I kept saying that this is one of those few times, you know, when you work in government, we look at you guys from a different lens. Sometimes we see you as competitors. If you had a meeting with someone from company X, the person from company Y does not want to see the two of you together. But this is the one place that all our competitors sit and meet and greet, have coffee together, drink, and make merry. And we are very happy that this is one of those forums that brings all of us together, both government and private sector, and therefore worth being in. So we looked at having a concept with this. One of this is just looking at the National Development Agenda for Kenya at the time, which was more of a government plan. It helped us to look at the digital economy blueprint. So this is where the digital economy blueprint was curated, and out of that, we went into unpacking the Vision 2030. We looked at the National ICT Policy. Remember, that was still a Kenyan affair. A Kenya National Digital Master Plan was born out of this. This is something that we finally launched, 2022-2032 plan, launched by the ICT Authority and the Ministry of ICT. It helped us look at the Constitution, specifically around equity, justice, rights, and service for our citizens. Private-public partnerships, collective shared responsibility, and these were some of the key themes that we focused on, looking at capacity building and literacy research. Some of the achievements, some of the things that came out of this concept of connected. One, we have what we call Huduma centers in this country. This was something that was done to help the government offer services to our Kenyan citizens, but using a forum that then allows for them to get these services much quicker at the time. So that is how Huduma was born, because it was a concept that came out of this summits that we've been calling Connected Summit. This happened in the year 2013. eCitizen. eCitizen is a platform that we enjoy and use today with over 22,000 services, government services hosted online. This has made life easier for Kenyans. Government has pushed services using the eCitizen platform. This was curated during these conferences in the year 2014. County ICT roadmaps. So within Kenya, we have various county governments, and we try and align ICT using various roadmaps, and that's where we got what we call the county ICT roadmaps. We had what we call the digital learning program, also curated here in the year 2017. This was a program that allowed the Ministry of Education offer devices to our learners up to grade 3 at the time, and that helped to bring technology into the learning sector and help our young kids get exposed to technology. So that was also curated here in the year 2017. The White Box Initiative is one of those other, 2018, and out of that, we got a lot of innovations coming out, and I think this is one thing that also came out of this conference. And what we call the Kenya National Digital Master Plan, which I earlier mentioned, was one of those key things that got born out of this conference. This is a 10-year blueprint for technology in this country. So far I've been talking a lot about Kenya, and these are just some of the things that I have spoken to, but in pictorial form. I notice it's not very clear on screen, so bear with us on this. So this is just some of those, you can see our former CS, Joseph Musheru, holding one of our DLP devices that was then born out of those activities. So we had various themes in the past, but I think we also have had a traditional golf tournament each and every year at Connected. We've been doing this at Diani, but I think last year we had this golf tournament in Nairobi. We did the same this year, and some of the reasons for that is that this was feedback coming back from you. I think some of you found it difficult carrying your clubs to Diani. Some of you preferred a Nairobi location, so we said, why don't we try the two and then get feedback and see what that looks like. So this year, you'll notice that we did not do the golf here. We did it in Nairobi on the 9th of May, which you shall get to see. So those are just some pictorials from the past, and now we just get to where we are today, which is Connected 2025. So we first had a Connected Africa Summit in the year 2024. We held this in Nairobi, and this was last year, and it became difficult to walk in the streets of Nairobi after doing Connected in Nairobi, because some of you felt that it should not have been in Nairobi. But we made that decision. We held Connected in Nairobi. It went the way it did. We had quite a number of successes. But the overwhelming feedback we got from you is that it was felt that Diani is the location to be, and therefore we came back to Diani, and I see many people smiling, and I'm happy to get the feedback even today. So I no longer say to Patane Diani, I say Tuko Diani. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your support. So I want to speak a bit about the partnership breakfast. We, in culmination of today, have held a few meetings and breakfast meetings with you from the private sector and well represented, and some people from government. So we held one such breakfast on the 28th of March at the Serena Hotel in Nairobi to update our partners about what we are doing. This was also attended by our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable William Kabogo, who's also around, and I believe for those of you who will be here early tomorrow will get to see him. The event has enabled us to engage the private sector and convince them to sponsor the event, and we are happy that we are here today because that is happening. So we had an unveiling breakfast on the 19th of May. I know some of you were there. This was attended by government and industry players, and we did a media briefing just to take people through this event. Why is it necessary? Who is going to be coming? Where will it be? And that happened, and we had quite a number of you coming on to sponsor the event. Just to mention a few, but I realized I should not put names here, because if your name is here, then it becomes an issue for some. So there's what we call the pre-summit activities. This is something we've always done, every connected summit. And the unique thing about this year and last year is that we then started what we are calling the Connected Africa Summit, because this is more than just Kenya, but we are looking at the African Summit. Now with that, we also held this golf tournament on the 9th of May at the Muthaiga Golf Club. These were attended by various board members, our ICTA guests and staff. We had 195 players who took part in this event. This created quite a bit of online buzz, and which was good for us. This was sponsored by KCB Bank, Communications Authority, Comfort Homes, Waza Waza, and TBM Limited. I think these guys deserve a round of applause. Thanks to them, we had a wonderful event, and we say thank you as government, because we felt this is one of those forums where we as government sit with you in private sector and get to understand how else things can be done better. And of course, this happened during this golf tournament where we had a number of things. So those were just some of the players that came in. And so there's a video that I'd like to be played about, how this event went. Video, please. This was a wonderful event. Even as the video is going on, we get to see how some of you harness your golf skills. Some of us were busy cutting grass and not playing golf.
The conclusion of today's tournament is Connected Africa Pre-Summit Tournament 2025, sponsored by ICT Authority. But it's a pre-summit event. It's a golf part of the lead up to the summit that's happening on the 26th to the 29th of May at Diamond Leisure Lodge. Towards the end of this month.
I'm happy to be part of this evening's deliberations in terms of preparedness to go to Africa or Connected Africa in Diani.
It is interesting when we draw the parallels between this beautiful game. This is a game of strategy, precision, relentless improvement. And I think that is what squarely applies to our digital transformation agenda.
Yeah, so that was a golf tournament that was, and we are really happy that you came through to sponsor, and thank you very much to our sponsors and every other person who took part in that event. Okay, it's not moving. Okay, thank you. So we then had what we call, and sorry, I see you can't read too well from there, a pre-summit training where we had recorded about 45 people. I think it was 38 in the past, but more than 45 people attended this. And this was important because we looked at various courses in this pre-summit training. This included certified AI, project management, data analytics and Power BI, digital governance and integration, transforming public service with GovStack. This has been going on until Friday last week, and we really appreciate our participants who took part in this event. We also had what we are calling the Innovation Awards, and we received about 82 innovations that came through. Out of those, I think 7 were from out of Kenya, and we really appreciate those that took part in this. We have selected 10 innovation winners. I think 1 is from Rwanda. The other 9 seem to be from Kenya. We also did a boot camp with the KCA University and Silicon Overdrive, so we say thank you to them. And we also thank Amazon Web Service for having taken part in sponsoring this activity. So thank you very much, AWS. We also plan to have certain launches done, the digital skills curriculum, which we shall be looking at, the ITU Open Office and Ajira, which we expect to be done tomorrow, and those should be coming up. VIP confirmations, I think there are quite a number that have gone through. We shall be getting to look at those. Some are ministers, some are PSs, heads of mission, and companies within the country. So those, I think, the ones that we shall be looking at. We thank a lot of our sponsorships. We have over 41 confirmed, 98 confirmed speakers, and I think this is something that we are very proud of, and we are proud that you're part of this journey. Key highlights, we had the partnership breakfast that I talked about earlier, the CAS 25 golf tournament, which was an amazing event, brought a number of people together. In fact, it was in that golf tournament that I'd seen, I shall not name names, there's 2 firms that are ever competing, whether it's a tender, proposals. These guys never talk. I was happy to see these guys in a 4-ball play together, and at the end of the day, have a drink together. I just hope that I see them here today. I'm still looking for one of them and hope that they shall still have that union. But this just goes to show that this is more than just an event. This is us helping you to help us bring people together to form meaningful synergies. We've had over 82 innovation awards registered, over 850 delegates registered, and 38 training registrations, which I understand has gone up to 45. We are going to have other activities like a ministerial roundtable and a gala dinner, and these are just some of the key events that we shall be going through. Pre-summit activities that we already talked to. So I think with that, I have just gone through a scenario where we've talked about Connected, which was Connected Kenya in the past. Today, this is called Connected Africa Summit as of 2024. We tried that in Nairobi, we got your feedback. We are back to the place that you know. Tumepatana Diani. Asanteni sana. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael, for that history. Question, what other game apart from golf can we use in the pre-summit, for Connected Africa? I mean, I don't like golf, so I don't know. Maybe I can also throw it to the delegates in the room. You can give
any soccer fans in the room? Maybe 11 aside. Any swimmers?
So MC, I'll say something. MC, that's an interesting question. Because when we were asked why only golf, we got interesting feedback. First and foremost, people felt that we need to add a different, we call it package. And in Kenya, they say they want a package called the Fisi package. I see Kenyans laughing, but Fisi is an animal in Kenya that has got specific characteristics, and they felt that that package would allow for us to have very special delegates who come to Connected, may not necessarily be in this room. They have other extracurricular activities that relates to their names, and they were very specific to soccer. So I shall leave it there. Thank you, MC.
Great feedback. At least there was a focus group to it.
We see. Thank you, Michael. Again, thank you for taking us through all the achievements that came from Connected Kenya, Connected Africa, the national, the digital economy blueprint, the Vision 2030, the national ICT policy, the Kenya National Digital Master Plan, the achievements, Huduma Center, e-Citizen, county ICT roadmaps, the digital literacy programs, and all these things. And I had the pleasure of attending the pre-summit trainings, and I can tell you they were very insightful, and they were a place for people to actually get grounding just before now we get into the entire meat of the summit.
Fantastic. And I think it's interesting, and I don't know what other terminology you use here. We all hear about master plans, agendas, frameworks. Give me another.
Policy.
Blueprints we've mentioned, and they all sound so futuristic. Like I just mentioned, Africa 2063. 2063, what will the generation then be called? But the thing, like I mentioned earlier, can we start the journey of the seeds for whose shade we may never sit? Those conversations start here. And the impact, like you've had Michael mentioned, things that were started in 2008, some of them are actually just being realized now. So these things are marathons. And we say for long journeys, you go together. And you have a vision. If you have a vision as Africa, then it means that if we go together, we can really and truly drive this digital transformation and say, move from that vision to reality. I'd like to just remind you to download the Events app. That's your Mission Control Center, so that if there are any changes in the program, you'll get a push notification there. And just part of the format of the day, we do have keynotes where we have speakers coming on stage to share some of their insights, and we have panels, and then later we'll have the breakout sessions. So do remember to use the Events app to keep a finger on that pulse. And the thing is that you may find that there are breakout sessions and you're like, I need to go for 3 of them, right? Because they all make sense to you at the same time. I offer an opinion and a suggestion that you go to the one that you prioritize highest. We will have rapporteurs in each and every of those rooms. All the sessions are being recorded, and post-summit, they'll be sent out to all of us. So don't feel like you're missing out, or don't feel that you need to go for half of this one and half of the other one. Fully immerse yourself in the one that is of high priority. We will make sure that you get the content from there. Now we get started to one of the many thematic areas of the summit, and this particular one is titled Youth and the Future of Work. And we begin this with a keynote titled Building the Augmented Workforce, and I'd like you to help me welcome on stage Regional Sales Director, Citrix, Mr. Shizad Noor Mohammed. Welcome on stage.
Test. Karibu to everybody. Welcome to Connected 22nd edition. I have a different question to one of the hosts. It's directed at Michael. I will take it up with my marketing team. I was not invited to the golf. And for those who do know me, it is my favorite sport. It is the great leveler of the game of golf, that even though you think you are ahead, the white ball chooses on the day. And I think, for many factors, it is also a game for us to talk about today, which is the future of work. So I think being an African, being a millennial, even though I don't look like it, many multinationals have taken the youth out of me. And today, as I speak to you, pretty much like the golf day, in competing for work is one of the reasons why I will have to talk to the brand Citrix. But more importantly, I'm here to talk about Africa and what Africa means for Africans, right? And I think that really is the theme of today. I think we've all been through many lived realities. For somebody like myself, coming from South Africa, the big change, from apartheid to being a free African nation. And I think the new world was spun into very different reality post-COVID. And I think what it has driven in all of us is a sense of, belonging in this digital transformation world. For those businesses and governments that were ready, for those that reacted in a different way, somehow the human race is what has brought us together to Diani today. Sitting in a room together is testament that the human race will conquer. And I think, in thinking of these topics, it is really important that we understand, to the point of the other co-host, is that we plant the trees. It almost as if he stole my last slide, but we'll get to that, as we go through the day. And I think, where this new connected world has gone is really around being able to work from anywhere, forged through a pandemic. Whereas today, the world is very different, and many of us as leaders, as governments, as connected people, now find that our workforces have the choice. And that choice across the world is something that we all need to consider. Not just because of retaining talent, but for people, individuals, who want to watch their kids play soccer, while being able to approve leave or mundane tasks. And I think in this new world, the future of work is everywhere. And I think once we work through these sessions, we'll understand that businesses find themselves somewhat in these quadrants. And I know the previous speaker already spoke to the text that is not rendering, so I do apologize for that. But I think we found ourselves in a world, and I think Kenya as well has found itself in a very interesting place of the gig economy, where freelance workers seem to be very much part of the workforce now, being able to do something whether businesses choose it or not. And I think that's been one lived reality that we found ourselves in. We've also found a new lived reality through technology around being able to be powered productives. And I think in that world, we've looked at technology as the enabler for what I speak about, whether you want to work from anywhere, be in Diani, still closing the quarter as I was introduced as a sales lead, and continuing to do business while being here. I think, more importantly, as the theme for today, is how these plugged-in platforms like AI have also augmented the workforce. And we've even moved through a lived reality in Africa, in South Africa, and in the world of process automation, whether that be robotics process automation or just standard process automations. And these have all changed the lived reality of enabling technology for all of us to work together. I looked at this picture, when preparing this deck, and coming from South Africa, living in the capital city for all of my life, made me think about my children. And for the many times that I was given the opportunity to leave the African continent, I've stayed in the same place for the last 39 years. And I've stayed there for a few reasons. One, we find ourselves very much connected in Africa. There is no other hope unless we stay and build it for those small trees that we speak about and living in the shade. And I think, for all of us, government officials, ourselves as business leaders, we all need to appreciate that there are gaps to now. In terms of planting those trees, service delivery, and other topics need to be accelerated at a rapid pace. We speak about 2063. We also need to think about now. And I think what we need to think about in all of this, as part of this journey, is to really be inclined at future-proofing both our organizations and the workforces to come. Many of us, and I've spoken about myself being a millennial, there are some in the room that are baby boomers, veterans in the organization, ready to leave. And I come back to my own son, who was born 4 days before lockdown, is part of the Generation Alpha, And he is not a digital native anymore. He is really married, built, whatever you want to say, hardwired to a screen. We go out, we play football. His first natural instinct is not to hug his mother, but to find his iPad after a long day of work. And this is the reality we all need to understand. For those of us who have kids, for those of us who have our own lives, sometimes after a long day, the screen seems to be hardwired, even when you're lying next to your better half. This is the new reality. And what we need to consider specifically to this picture people in the room would know that the revolving threats around cybersecurity become one of the great enablers for us protecting data, protecting identities, and to live in this connected world. And I think as Citrix, our motto specifically is to secure the work. We understand for a long time that we have been able to virtualize desktop infrastructure. We've really worked around enabling the core, building around it. And I think in the theme of what I've discussed, Citrix has done a lot of investments in the kind of north-south pillar, which is building on technologies that really we've acquired over the last few years. And we've also bolstered some of our new technologies. And when you look at it from the network effect, we've also partnered very heavily with AWS and Windows. We've also partnered with Google Chrome to ensure that this environment that we live in today really gives us a better together story. where it's not an us or a them, and it's really how do we virtualize this infrastructure the best that the client can move forward with. And I think, as we've said, our strength has been on the VDI. We've really done a lot of work in terms of strengthening our core around this. We're working around a lot of secure access points, securing the browser, as I've said. Going forward, this is not just within our own environments, but many of the applications today are accessed via the browser, and we are securing that. So I think, as we've said, trying to keep this to a minimal as a punt perspective, we are driving more value in the pillars, we're expanding our core, and we're optimizing PCs in the cloud. So ultimately, that is the message from Citrix. The big message for today is really around how we've augmented ourselves, how we've changed our business models from really becoming very tactical in the market to being more strategic. Being at events like this is really fostering a partnership for 10, 20, 30 years, and we're not really in the business of transacting for the now. We are really building the future of work through our engagements, through the way we go to market, and more importantly, we've really gone in to consolidate our offerings, simplify, and work towards localization. I think the key to all of this is localizing Africans for Africa as the key bedrock of how we go to market. As we innovate and automate, we have made a lot of investments into innovation, and we continue to go down that path. And I invite all of you to join us in the exhibition center to go into more details around the offerings. But ultimately, I will be here for the next 5 days, looking forward to partnering with anybody who's interested and looking at how do we make Africa a better place for us all. I think this is, a final slide that I've always looked at is we have a choice. That future for all of us is dependent on the choices we make today. We could either build fertile ground for the trees you speak about, or we can really destroy it. And I think ultimately this is the decision and the key point that I leave all delegates, senior members of businesses, consider that while we are here to do business in Africa, that we do it keeping in mind that future, those trees, those seedlings that we need to plant. And ultimately, all of us have this as a choice. We can do a deal, or we can ultimately come here to future-proof work on a number of factors. Skilling up Africans is one of them, and I, as a business leader, sign up for that. And I will make that a statement that everybody needs to understand that it is not really around the workforce of today, but the workforce of tomorrow and the 2065 that you talk about. Because ultimately, all of us have a choice. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shizad. Photo ops.
Our photography team, if you could cue us in, are we good for that shot? Just help me appreciate Mr. Nur Mohammed one more time. Thank you very much. And yes, let's look forward to meeting them at the exhibition. Kibandi.
Thank you, Bugwa. Thank you, Mr. Shizad, for that very insightful keynote. I picked that you're very passionate about democratizing access. The unifier is tech, and of course, localize Africa for Africa. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Shizad. Our next speaker is a man I would call the mind behind machines. He is the founder and CEO of MindHive.ai, a global pioneer in AI and agentic, artificial general intelligence, AGI. He's leading the charge in developing autonomous systems and deploying domain-specific AGI agents across sectors like healthcare, finance, and governance. He believes that Africa isn't following the AI revolution like we all do, it's shaping it. His mission is to democratize access to transformative intelligence and architect the infrastructure for post-scarcity economies. Ladies and gentlemen, with a thunderous applause, welcome on stage Mr. Bill Faruqi.
Test. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders, builders, stewards of tomorrow, disruptors, entrepreneurs, visionaries, good morning. Africa stands at a rare intersection, truly rare. It's what got me and 6 of my staff members on a plane all the way out from California to Nairobi. And the reason for that, because it's not one, in our opinion, of opportunity. It's of inevitability. My name is Bill Faruqi. I'm the founder and CEO of MindHive AI. We're the first creators of commercial-grade artificial general intelligence, the innovators and researchers behind 10 large reasoning models, and the very first company in the world to bring agentic AI and swarm intelligence into fields of healthcare, education, law, real estate, finance, insurance, marketing, technology, and even religion. Our systems are disrupting the world, and they're changing everything. And I'm here to tell you all about it. So welcome. The next infrastructure of the future is not fiber, grids, clouds, 5G, storage. The next infrastructure of the future is intelligence itself. Cognitive systems, equalizers, I call them. These systems, as my host just said, democratize, make abundant knowledge deployed from the cloud 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to any geographic pinpoint you can find on the planet. And when you have that, you've got a post-scarcity economy of sorts. This intelligence won't be built and deployed only through Silicon Valley. We are a California company ourselves. But it will be built right here in Kenya, Rwanda, Ghana, Nigeria, these developing nations, which is our sole focus as we go to market with our models. We only focus on developing nations. We don't sell in America. We don't sell in Canada. We bring this democratization and this equalization to developing countries. We feel this is important because in 26 years of technology that I've been in, 8 tech startups, 4 exits, I ran this company from 0 to $1.7 billion in 9 months. I'll tell you that you can't retrofit legacy systems, not with AI, not with the way the world is today. You can't take existing platforms in healthcare, in law, in education, even in digital payments, and tweak it just so much and suddenly get ahead. You need to leapfrog ahead to be considered a player on the global stage in the global economies of the world. And for that, you need a re-architecture. That's why we're here. That's why my staff of 6 is here. And that's what we plan on doing. We're not an app factory. MindHive AI is not one of those companies, which is 99% of all the AI names you hear out there, that provides a SaaS tool of some kind. We don't. We are a core frontier model provider. My competition's OpenAI. Not that I think they're much competition, but they're considered to be in the same strata of tech as we are. We provide models. But our models are different. They're not language models. They weren't trained on the internet to answer questions really well. Our models are reasoning models. They're designed to solve problems. And developing nations have problems. That's why we're still developing. If we had solutions, we wouldn't be developing anymore. So we position ourselves as a sovereign intelligence architecture firm. We're cognitive infrastructure for rent. And we integrate that cognitive infrastructure into your agencies, if you will, and we bring intelligence to the fingertips of whoever that service provider is, whether that service provider is a doctor or a lawyer or teacher or even an entrepreneur, which is what I want to talk about later. We don't build APIs either. We build domain-specific agentic systems powered by AGI. We build them, we make them operational, we deploy them, we integrate them, we turn them on, and then they run complex national-level systems that then spread through the ecosystem of nations and eventually, in time, touch on the lives of every single human being and better them in some way. Our agentic systems are currently live and going live in healthcare, e-learning in education, bringing democratized education to rural areas right now in Pakistan in a disconnected model. We're doing it for finance. We're doing it for law, courtrooms, legal outcomes. We're doing it for every vertical. And we're doing it because these systems remove the errors that humans make. They govern, they predict, they adjust, they adapt, they learn, and they sort of mold into your infrastructure and make things better. At the center of all of this is our core reasoning model. I'm doing a masterclass on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. I encourage everybody to please attend, because I can go really, really deep, and I want to go really deep on what all this actually means, because I speak and lecture around the world, from Japan to Beijing to Shanghai and Dubai and everywhere, and a lot of people want to know how this works. And so for that, I host these masterclasses, which is at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, so I encourage you to come in. But just to touch on it briefly, you've heard about OpenAI, you've heard about GPT, everybody knows what that is. That is their core language model. You've heard about Meta Technologies, their core language model is Llama. Our core reasoning model is called Ava Fusion. And through this core reasoning model, we've built these agentic systems on top of them. So we have these digital employees. I encourage you later to go to our website and check them out. But we have a doctor called Chiron, and we have a lawyer called Justine, and we have a professor called Arthur, and so on and so forth. And when you bring these digital employees together through a technology we have called swarm intelligence, then they act like human teams. Lawyer for compliance, doctor for treating patients, Eli, the financial person for billing, Isaac for insurance, and that can run a hospital. And so these orchestrated agentic systems is what we deploy then at a state level. And that's how things equalize. That's how healthcare, for example, in Nairobi, would be as good as the very best healthcare in Manhattan, New York. It's how education in Pakistan becomes as good as Harvard University. It's how law deployed here in your native tongue of Swahili becomes just as good as a $1,500 an hour attorney in Beverly Hills. Because these agentic systems then come into place, and then the service provider leverages them, and then these developing nations, as I said earlier, are no longer developing. They're scaling. Today's theme could not be more urgent or more personal to me. I'm born and raised in Pakistan. I left the country when I was 20 years old and immigrated to the United States. I know what it's like to grow up in a developing nation. I know what it's like to get on a plane and come to California and have to take a bus and go get a job and equalize myself. I never went to college. I dropped out of Boston University's second semester. Everything I did on my own. Every company I've ever built, I did on my own. So I know what it's like to develop. So these things are deeply personal to me when I want equalization for everybody, just like I equalize my own life. Africa is young. They're ambitious, entrepreneurial. Our research said that the World Bank estimated over 100 million Africans are part of a gig economy projected for 2025, meaning budding entrepreneurs. And budding entrepreneurs need enablers. They need scale. They need empowerment. Many of these young people are not looking for jobs. They're creating them. And they're creating them through coding, through social media, through web design, through call centers, through whatever it is they can do to get that gig. But then they're competing. They're competing against these behemoth organizations that have scale, that have marketing, that have pricing, that have economies behind them that maybe they don't have. And so as a result, they get beaten out on price, or they get beaten out on marketing, or they get beaten out on messaging, or they get beaten out on scale. Well, with these systems in the hand of the everyday person, suddenly they start operating like a 1,000-person organization, and that's what we want to bring here. We're building these AGI agents in Pakistan. We're doing it for Turkey. We were looking at doing it for Qatar, for Malaysia, for Sri Lanka. We've seen successes. We'd like to bring those successes here. Our systems are unmatched. Unmatched, absolutely unmatched. We build them differently. In healthcare, in 2.5 years, we have never, ever had a misdiagnosis in history. We've been in tests with physicians, radiologists, oncologists, endocrinologists, nephrologists. We have simply never had an erroneous situation. In fact, we found problems with physicians' diagnoses all the time and caught them. In law, we've never had it reason to an inaccurate conclusion. In finance, we've never had it miss anything on a balance sheet, on a cash flow statement. We've never seen it make an error on tax returns. In education, our personalized learning programs, our children are absorbing 2.5 to 3 times more through AI-powered education than there are traditional classrooms. And they're doing it in a disconnected model on a tablet. In a rural area close to the borders of Afghanistan, where there is no internet, you got girls right now who could never have had a chance to go to school because they get on the bus and go that 60 kilometers to get to school, now potentially with a tablet in their hand, learning American 12th grade physics in their native tongue. Our systems are deployable through the cloud. We've partnered with Microsoft. We have opened now, extended to 4 data centers globally, 3 more in the works. We have these hybrid models that we can train then for your country, for your nuances, for your specifics, and build these hybrid systems that work specifically for your locale. They're ethical, they've got guardrails in them. They're adaptive, as I said, they become smarter the more they learn and the more they're used. And then they're sector native, as I said, to these 10 sectors. And as it stands today, and I don't think it'll always be the case, but as it stands today, nobody's doing this in the world. Nobody's deploying national level scale agentic systems the way we are. And there's certainly, if they are, they're certainly not doing it in developing nations. We're the ones that go out there and bring this technology to countries like to continents like Asia, regions like South Asia, regions like Africa, the Baltic states, places where they really need it and people aren't focusing. So I painted this grand picture. Sometimes when I lecture at universities like Stanford, they think it's hogwash, and then they want to go deep on the tech, and then they take a pause and go, wow, this thing is really real. So I know it's 10 months of lecturing now. I've been on the road, almost 10 months straight, country to country. I really encourage you to please come to this masterclass. Because for people who are not in the AI research field, specifically people who are not in the research field of reasoning data sets, specifically people who are not in a combination of swarm intelligent agentic systems, it's really hard for decision makers and leaders and employers and CEOs to get their head around what I'm talking about. So I make it really simple, and I can do it in 90 minutes, okay, I promise you. So I'm genuinely encouraging you, my staff, 6 of us, they're right there in the front row. I brought an AI ML engineer, and I brought an ops manager, and I brought my vice president of agentic strategy. I brought a head of business development in here. I brought a whole team here because I really want to take this opportunity. For the first time, maybe here on the continent, I don't know if you've ever had a model provider out here like us talking about this before, but I would assume for the first time, you're going to get a chance to talk about what these systems are. And we will explain it to you in a real human way. And we'll explain the technology to you, and you'll understand how this can scale in your nation, and then hopefully across the continent. So I just want you to know that we'll cut through the noise. Any of the misinterpretations, we'll get terms and terminology lined up. We'll help you understand what your own asks are of AI. And then we'll help give you some solutions to that. And I'm always open to any questions. I think I'm here for 7 days, I believe. If need be, I'll be happy to extend my trip, and my staff will too. But we're here to answer the questions. So once again, Wednesday, 2 o'clock, please come. And last, I just want to leave you with this. Normally people write my speeches for me. They've got it down to a point now where they're bulleted. Usually I'm on a plane, they write it for me, I bullet it. But at the end, I usually leave a little personal note for myself. And I want to tell you one thing, that Africa will not be the last continent to adopt artificial general intelligence, I promise you. They won't. They will be the first to master it. Because we're going to bring people here. We're going to open offices here. We're going to hire local people here. We're going to train local staff people here. We're going to make an investment. I just made a $22 million investment in Pakistan 6 weeks ago. Prior to that, 3 months before that, I made another $12 million investment. I committed to hiring 1,500 to 5,000 people and training them in AI labs, incubation centers. I even promised to put a private equity fund together and seed 20 to 30 AI-powered entrepreneurship programs just to prove to people that we could do this in a country like that. We will scale. Thank you. We put our money where our mouth is. We will partner with you if you partner with us. We will bring this tech here. We will invest in your country, in your people, in your vision, in your digital transformation journey, I promise you. But take this time to just understand what it is we have, and please don't think we're ChatGPT, because we're not. Thank you.
Thank you for that challenge.
I bring AI to Africa and all I get is a bag.
wait for the safari bit.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Bill, and for the challenge and ambition. This thing about better quality jobs, we need to call ourselves for a meeting. Like we love to say in Kenya, we need to meet behind the tent and really determine what this better quality job is. What would you do? How many of us love what they do on a day-to-day basis? You do it for free? No. You'd probably be by the beach, right? You'd probably be like what the Gen Zs are telling us we should be, by the beach, doing what you like, when you like, etc., right? So when you talk about better quality jobs, and then you have to hand it over to agents, what you're doing now, we need to have that conversation and connect the dots and say, what does that mean for productivity? And even as governments, if you're in the room, what does that mean when you say you're going to create an enabling environment? For AI agents to do the work? Maybe, because if they can do that and your population gets to live as they choose, feels almost like utopia, right? But back to Faruqi's list of industries. There was one that I was curiously waiting for that needs lots of transformation and a shift across Africa. Yes, there's healthcare. Yes, there's education. Interesting was religion, right? I had guys go, when you mentioned religion. I was waiting for politics. Could we have, I imagine, I pause the thought right there, but could we have? But the reality is also that we cannot retrofit technology. this new technology. We can't create a space and hide. We have to think different. Remember we said we have to think different. We have to challenge ourselves different. We have to ask ourselves the hard questions. So even as you're thinking of these new technologies, what can we do? Who will be the first to adopt what they are working on? And I love that he was bold enough to say that pound for pound, some of the largest names in the world that we know, they are in the same weight class. So thank you, Bill, for that, and look forward to meeting up with the rest of your team. So now the World Bank states that 100 million Africans will soon be expected to be part of the gig economy, tapping into entrepreneurship as a viable career path. This 100 million possible youth should consult me and a few others who have dared to do entrepreneurship and know that it's not as glamorous as it may sound, right? But how do we then get to support these businesses and these ambitions as we go forward? How do we get these youth to monetize their skills and passions better? What tools and platforms do we need to build this new future, to build and scale this new future? So now we get to have a panel where we get to unpack this and set the stage to answer from side hustle to scale up, youth entrepreneurship in the age of AI and the gig economy. And to help us go through the session, we have the Director of Legal Services and Corporation Secretary at the ICT Authority, who drives strategic initiatives and advises on emerging legal challenges and ensures that the organization, that is ICTA, remains at the forefront of governance and regulatory excellence. Help me welcome on stage Ms. Pauline Kimotho. She has requested me to assist her calling her panelists on the stage. So kindly, Dr. Ehud Gashugu, the Acting Deputy CEO and Global Director, Youth and Jobs at KEPSA. Karibu to the stage. Help me welcome him on stage kindly. My good friend Ken Gikunda, co-founder and managing director, Immobilis Technology Training Institute. Ken, are you in the room? We do have a representative. She will introduce herself. And last but not least, we have Mr. Eric McGee, Technical Sales Engineer at Evant. Welcome. Pauline, over to you.
Thank you very much. You've forgotten one more of the panelists, Mr. Charles Juma from UK FCDO. Welcome on stage. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having some fun. I know we are standing between you and lunch, so we shall do a rapid fire. I will ask each of my guests to briefly introduce themselves, their name, what they do, where they're coming from, and what they hope to teach us from this session. I'll start with you, Daktari.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ehud Gachogo. I work at Kenya Private Sector Alliance. I am the current acting Deputy Chief Executive Officer, as well as leading our work in youth and jobs. Very excited to be here in this forum, and I hope to expound a bit on what we're doing, but more importantly, also to reflect on the future of work from the perspective of the gig economy.
Good afternoon. My name is Edna Karijo. I'm an Associate Director at Immobilis. We are an award-winning 15-year-old digital and technology training institution, and we also implement the Ajira Digital Program. So I am super excited to be here to discuss about youth and the gig economy and the future of work. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, my name is Eric McGee. I'm a Gen X, almost a boomer, so you'll know my age. I'm from Ivanti, presenting Ivanti from the Midis Group. We enable work from anywhere. My background is an electronic engineer, so I started practicing that, then joined an ICT delivery company for many years, and then was at a stint at Deloitte looking after cyber risk. So my biggest background is cybersecurity and also ICT delivery. And so I'm going to talk about the technology enablement that we need to drive the youth to adopt and seize the opportunity that we all talk about.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon. My name is Charles Wesonga Juma. I'm the country lead of the UK's Digital Access Program. I sit at the British High Commission in Nairobi. I lead the Digital Access Program, which is around catalyzing affordable, inclusive, and safe, secure digital access for everyone. So happy to be here to share some of the work we are doing in collaboration with the Kenya Government, Ministry of ICT, as well as the other stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So I'll start with the lady in the middle. From where you sit, what do you see as the future for youth in the current work environment?
Thank you so much, Pauline, for that question. So as I said, I work for Immobilis. We are a tech organization that supports young people in the gig economy. So this is an area that I'm very passionate about. I also have been working with young people for the last decade. And to your first question, when you look at the gig economy in Kenya and in Africa, the majority of people who work in the gig economy are actually young people. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, how do we make sure that young people, regardless of the location they are in, access, grow, thrive in the digital economy, in their lived realities? Think of a young woman, for example, in Ukunda or in Lamu or in Turkana, who probably is taking care of young children at home. How do we make sure that that young woman, in her lived reality, gets to access the gig economy, gets to thrive in it, and gets an equal opportunity platform that any other young person across the globe can access? So that leads me to my first point. There's a World Bank report that was released last year, but one that looked at the gig economy across the globe. And one of the key statistics that was brought out was that there's a growing demand in sub-Saharan Africa that is rising faster than any other developed country. So what that means is the gig economy in Kenya and in Africa already has a thriving demand. So how do we make sure that these hundreds of thousands of jobs that are being created, that the young people are able to access them? And that leads me to my second point, still in line with that. What's the main reason that's getting young people into the gig economy? So number one, there's flexibility of work. When you look at a young woman, when you look at a young man somewhere, in a disadvantaged area, but then they're able to access gig works and they're able to have flexibility of time, they're able to be their own boss. The Gen Zs, as we've heard from the previous speakers, they're looking for flexible remote work. So the question is, how do we make sure that they access this job in a way that is inclusive, that is fair, and that is equitable? There's a report that was released also this year by Genesis Analytics. It spoke about AI, the business process outsourcing industry, IT outsourcing, and there were quite some key insights shared there, because the next question will be, what type of tasks are young people in Kenya and Africa taking part in the gig economy? So there's a whole range of tasks that young people are doing online. And that report groups these tasks into 4 job families. So it's a report by Genesis Analytics. It will be good for everyone who is in this space to look for it. So it speaks about 4 job families. The first is customer experience. So we are seeing a lot of young people taking part in customer experience work. The second is IT-enabled services. That's a huge potential and a huge job family here in Kenya and in Africa. The third is AI data services, and the fourth is financial and accounting services. Now, there are opportunities and there are challenges with each of these job families that have been highlighted and that young people are experiencing. But one key thing that stood out for me is that AI data services is amongst the job family that is growing very rapidly. And the number two, some of these jobs actually risk automation, and they risk being replaced by artificial intelligence. So one of that is financial accounting. So young people who are outsourcing work in that sector also need to be aware that some of these jobs can be automated and can be replaced by AI. So to my third point, hopefully third and final point, I've already spoken about inclusion and how do we make sure that, young women, how do we make sure that persons living with disability also access the gig economy and thrive in it in a way that is equitable for them. And so that's an area that we need to look out for. But to the last point also, the challenges. Everything that has an advantage, of course, has its own challenges. Young people, especially from sub-Saharan Africa, who are participating in the gig economy, are always talking about how can they be paid fairly. How can a young software developer in Kenya get the same earning as a software developer in India or Philippines? How do we make sure that they're not discriminated upon because of where they're logging in from, or their skin color, or their gender? So inclusion, equitability is so important in the gig economy. And I think for the young people in the room, that's something they always talk about. And so for the policymakers, the private sector that is here, and all the actors, we need to ask ourselves, how can we enable our young people to thrive and access equitably in gig work? Thank you.
Asante sana. Daktari, from your perspective, what do you see?
Yeah, I think from where I see it, three key things that we all must think very deeply about. The first one is the whole issue about climate change. The second thing is the new world order. And the third thing is about job transformation. As a continent, these three key things are so pertinent and are so important that we cannot really ignore them. And as such, every job that is available in the continent becomes very important. Sometimes when we talk about the future of work and talk about jobs, it is important that we put it in context. And if you look at the labor market in Africa, the aspect of job is not only about driving economic value or incomes. A job represents the identity of an individual. A job represents the dignity of an individual. And dignity removes people from poverty. And so we cannot eliminate jobs if we don't actually, we cannot eliminate poverty if we don't create jobs for young people. And that brings me to my first point. In the next 5 years, around 5 million young Kenyans will be entering the labor market, 5 million. And every year, we create around 750,000 jobs. It tells you that there's a huge gap between the young people entering the labor market and the available job opportunities. And therefore, gig economy becomes a pertinent issue and an area for us to think through. If you look at the number of jobs that are being created in the digital economy, and particularly looking at the gig economy itself, it has grown 4 times since 2019. There are 600,000 here in Kenya. Right now, the number starts at 2.4 million of young people working in the informal gig economy. Now, out of that number, only 300,000 people and young people in this matter are working in formal digital economy. Meaning, majority of the people in the digital economy and in the ICT sector are largely getting their livelihood from the gig work and freelancing type of work. Now, that statistic is very important because it helps us now start thinking about what should we then be doubling down on in terms of making sure that irrespective of that level of informality, then quality of jobs is maintained, as well as quality of lives in the digital economy is also observed. So we have been working with a number of partners in different programs, and one of the programs that we've been running is the Ajira Digital Project, which is funded by MasterCard Foundation, and it's a program of Government of Kenya through the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy. And the idea here was to make sure that Kenya becomes a digital hub for businesses by creating enough and sufficient talent to be able to drive and to push the country agenda to be a digital transformation hub for the region. And what we have been seeing on the program is that majority of the Kenyan young people have already been able to access opportunities globally, but largely in a very low-level type of entry and foundational levels. And the question is, as we look into the future, where then should we be focusing on or doubling down to make sure that then we are building a credible, sustainable, and globally competitive workforce? And recently, we conducted a research, and a couple of things were very, very pertinent on where we should be focusing on so that we can safeguard and future-proof the future of work for our Kenyan young people who are thriving in the gig economy. One area is the fact that for you to thrive effectively on the global gig economy, it's apparent that we need to really upskill people with current skills that are in high demand globally. And some of this has been mentioned by various speakers this morning, from AI, data analytics, data science, and cybersecurity, amongst others. But more importantly, it was about recognition. Well, a lot of people are working on the gig economy. The recognition standards for people who are looking for a high potential workforce are very low in Africa. And therefore, investing in making sure that we are getting global certifications, global standards, creating portfolio of work that is in high feasibility by global companies that are outsourcing work is very pertinent. Lastly, as we look around gig economy, it is important to mention that while we have been seeing disparities in labor market between young men and young women, it's interesting that we continue to see a higher participation of young women in digital gig economy. When we started the program in 2020, only 27% of young women were participating in digital gig economy. By now, we are upwards of 50%, meaning that there is a point there around giving a chance to young people, young women, in order for them to be able also to create livelihood. So, given that context, I have a few things that we have reflected on around how do we then help young people in the gig economy then to create sustainable and successful enterprises. The first thing is that we are not moving in terms of formalizing the informal sector. We are focusing on improving the quality of work by ensuring that there are right policies that helps young people in the gig economy to have access to social protection. Unfortunately, in this sector, one calamity can actually throw back a family to very difficult situations. And therefore, ensuring that their insurances, microinsurance, is ensuring that they have access to finance, ensuring that they have access to medical care is just extremely important given the sheer number of people who are operating in the gig economy. The second one is about graduation pathways. And what I was alluding for before is that we cannot be able to say that we are happy and comfortable with people operating on low productive gig economy type of topology. The idea is to make sure that we keep on pushing people to higher level by ensuring that we're integrating the market skills that are on high demand in the market, integrating that one in our education system, as well as all other areas that are important in educating and teaching young people ways of earning livelihood. Last but not least, and it has been alluded, we are living in an area where majority of businesses in Africa are on SME sector. And SMEs are creating a lot of jobs in Africa, and that's a reality. And it is important we enable them to have access to recent technologies to give an opportunity for young people who are looking for global opportunities an opportunity to experience and to run practical work experience through SMEs. SMEs are in high need of digitization and digitalization. They're in high need of good talent. Of course, majority of them cannot be able to afford, and therefore, internships, apprenticeship programs, work-based learning opportunities, as well as remote work opportunities is extremely pertinent in helping us to grow the economy as we also create new opportunities for young people within the business environment. So that's what we see, and the future is really bright. And as my colleague has said, we cannot ignore the power of AI in enhancing productivity, both for enterprises, but also for the workforce that is currently being engaged in the gig economy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eric, what technology should the youth look at, those who want to participate in the gig economy and do it effectively and successfully?
I want to... Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? There we go. I want to start by taking a step back and looking at the opportunity that is firstly in front of us, and then secondly about the technology and how we can enable that. So Africa is more than 1 billion people with the highest growth rate. By 2050, we'll probably be the most populous region in the world. So we have an abundance of talent available, right? That's the biggest opportunity. We also have a massive market that we will create, that will be available. So the opportunity for me is to unlock those. The access to the talent, to the resources, and the access to the markets, because that's what we will present to the world, right? And that is the opportunity. So I said earlier, and I did that on purpose, that I'm a Gen X, almost a boomer. I started off playing with technology and ideas that were just concepts like code reuse and so forth. Today, just a year ago, I had the opportunity to build some infrastructure in the cloud environments, in the hyperscalers. AWS is one in the room, and do things like build a website. And I did it by giving an AI prompt, and it created a website for me. I had the ability to create an infrastructure in the cloud environment, and I was amazed at the availability of technology that was concepts in those years are now reality. The availability of training material, the willingness of all the players in the space to actually teach people. So the opportunity is, how do we take this market, this talent pool that we have, and enable them? Right? That's the opportunity I think that's there. And my colleagues talked about training. That's the first thing. Train, breach the digital divide, because yes, we have a lot of talented people, but let's talk about those rural areas. Africa has only 16% of the world population at the moment, 67 of the most poorest people, right, that earn less than $2 a day. So there's a massive gap that we need to bridge, and that's only going to be done through training, through enablement, to make people aware. Now, the young people they grow up with these things. The penetration in Africa is 90%. So people have access to phones, they have access to connectivity. So use that to enable them to understand the opportunity that they have in front of them. And then also use these tools and technologies through optimization, through gaining access to that talent pool. Optimize smart team collaboration so that people can actually access this talent pool that we have in front of us. There's great technology in the room. If you visit the exhibition hall, you can talk to people about it. Enable the work. We as Ivanti do have a lot of technology that does enable work from anywhere. Embrace those technologies. So how do we enable that? Well, firstly, I think through the connectivity, through making available to the youth laptops, computers, basic things that we can do. Access to the training material. The material's there. The world is knocking on the door. Bill was talking about the investments that they're willing to make in this country. I can promise you the whole world is willing to do that, to get access to this market, to get access to the talent pool that are affordable in world rates, right? That's our opportunity. So let's use these technologies. The cloud providers are all, the hyperscalers are all willing to give you free access to resources for a year to build things to learn from on them. So there's no problem about, we have all the building blocks, we have all the availability, we have all the willingness. We just need to enable it, and that we need to do through investing in infrastructure, in ICT infrastructure, connectivity infrastructure, compute infrastructure, training, enabling this opportunity that's in front of us. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Building on what Eric has said, Charles, what are some of the difficulties you have noticed that come in the way of the youth when they're trying to get access to this gig economy?
Okay. Hope I can be heard. Yeah, thank you, Pauline. And thanks to the panelists. I think before I talk about the difficulties that young people are going through to be able to access the gig economy, I just wish to say that as a UK government, we have a strategy, our UK's digital development strategy that is out, and one of the thematic areas in the strategy are issues around promoting digital inclusion, promoting digital transformation of the economy as well as government and societies, digital responsibility, issues around cybersecurity awareness as well as cyber hygiene for everyone, issues around digital sustainability. I think it's already out there that the ICT sector contributes heavily to the climate, global warming. So how are we ensuring that the ICTs that we're putting out there are being put out in such a way that they are sustainable? So in line with the strategy, we have been implementing the UK's Digital Access Program in 5 countries, but I'll be specific to Africa, so in Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya, and Brazil and Indonesia out of Africa. And in total, we have been able to reach over, that's about 20 million, citizens with digital inclusion models. These are models around access to skills, access to last mile connectivity, access to local relevant digital content, as well as cyber hygiene awareness creation. So I think some statistics have been mentioned in this room, including the 100 million Africans that need to engage in the digital economy. And as we know, due to the digital age divide, if that is going to be true, then a huge majority of that should be young people. So that presents an opportunity for young people to be able to be the highest number because they are the most advantaged to enjoy or to take advantage of the gig economy. So, but then on the other hand also, there's also another statistic that says that in Africa, less than 1% of our population are actually transacting online. So that again is also another opportunity that we have, and therefore we can present that to young people so that the young people can actually be the ones helping us to get more people to transact online. So we've done several projects. I'll not go into too many of them, but specifically I just want to single out some that we've just done in the recent 1 year. So overall, we intervene to support at the systemic level. So this is a level whereby we engage decision makers to enable the ecosystem, the digital ecosystem. So issues around policy, regulations, guidelines, strategies, as well as things that can enable the digital ecosystem. But we also look at the supply. I think most of the participants here might be from the supply side, as you've heard, techies who are providing maybe technologies, but there could also be people also providing content, services, but there could also be people who are also providing skills. I think we just heard from the previous speaker who is offering a master class later or during the week. So there could also be suppliers of skills. So with respect to the other side of the domain is therefore the demand. So how are we creating awareness and capacity of the demand side of all this? So we intervene at all those 3 levels, and specific to how this is relevant for young people, I'll use a case of a project we just did recently in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth in Kenya, as well as the Ministry of Information, Communication, and Digital Economy, through ICT Authority, with the county governments of Mandera and Busia, where we kind of brought these things really to be very simple, and it's as simple as, if Kenya, for example, wants to reach, as they have clearly stated in the National Digital Plan, Master Plan, Kenya wants to reach 20 million citizens with basic digital literacy, right? by the year, it was initially by the year 2032, but I think it has been fast-tracked to the year 2027. What is the role of young people there? And what can government and other stakeholders ensure that young people get an opportunity? So we tried out a model, and as I said, we catalyze models. So we tried out a model, which we are referring to as digital skills at scale. So basically what we've done is that we have provided gig opportunities to young people in those 2 counties by imparting them with digital basic as well as intermediate digital literacy skills, and immediately ask the young people to convert those skills into gig opportunities by reaching their citizens in their rural places. I think we need to make these things as simple as possible so that they're actually easy to apply and people can actually connect with them very easily. So after introducing about 10,000 young people to basic and intermediate digital literacy skills, they were able, within their respective community, to reach over 600,000 citizens. And while doing so, they were being given some form of income, in form of a gig. So I think as we talk of the future of work, I think we also need to be talking about that that's actually the current opportunity that young people have. And therefore, some of the difficulties that you asked that they need to go around include the barriers around access to technology, devices, as well as affordable internet. Because all these things we are saying here, if young people are not able to access affordable infrastructure as well as internet, it's just going to be a talk, but it won't be put into practice. So that is one barrier. I also want to speak to another barrier, which is around lack of local relevant digital content. And these young people can actually take advantage of their skills to be able to create this content. And this content will actually be their gig, so that they're able to actually use that content to bring and monetize. I think one of the speakers mentioned, how can they monetize that content? And obviously, the greatest barrier, again, which is also a hindrance to young people, is the issues of cybersecurity or cyber insecurity that is also with them, including violation of data privacy, as well as so many other negative aspects that always follow this good opportunity. So how are we able to make sure that young people are able to maneuver around those? So how can we, even looking forward as UK government, what we are thinking is that everything we want to do, especially in Kenya, we want to make sure that the young people are at the center of it, because they're actually the ones who are going to enable everything else that we're doing. Talking of AI, I think we are committed to make sure that the AI ecosystem in Kenya is also enhanced, as well as institutions that are actually training young people on AI, as well as emerging technologies capabilities, are also enhanced. And maybe I'll just stop there, and maybe we can actually delve deeper into this conversation as we proceed. Thanks, Pauline.
Most welcome. Edna, I think you're the only one who looks young enough here to tell the youth how they can make money from the gig economy. I think the rest of us are permanent and pensionable somewhere, and there's a businessman, so we might not be very pleased to give that information. Edna, please.
Sure, thank you so much, Pauline. Yeah, so yeah, back to young people, back to how can we get them, to access the gig economy and make a dignified income out of it. So I want to speak about a study that we did as part of the Nigeria Digital Program that showed and revealed that half of the young people who'd gone through the program actually mentored an additional 30% voluntarily to show them how to access gig work and how to take on digital work. So what that means is if you empower one young person in their lived realities in whichever location they are in, what we've seen is a ripple effect to the ecosystem. So more young people are speaking about gig work, they're training and mentoring others voluntarily, getting them into platforms and getting them to understand that they can actually earn a decent wage from that. And the second thing is, how do we then formalize such engagements? How do we get young people to actually register their agencies and their businesses to become mini BPOs or mini business process outsourcing agencies? Because when people think of BPOs, they think of large corporations. That's what we have seen here in Kenya. But there are many other young people. If you go to the outskirts of Nairobi, to Kahawa, to Ruiru, to Nakuru, to Bomet, to Kisumu, you'll find young people actually distributing work and forming their own digital agencies and BPOs. And as my fellow panelists have said, how do we get them the right access, the right tools, the right internet connectivity to compete competitively with other young people around the globe? And how do we continue making sure that there's an enabling environment, whether in form of policies that support and advocate for gig workers and young workers, and how do we support them as the older generation? That will be it. Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you. Daktari, she has talked about Bomet. There's a place in Bomet called Mulot that is famous for SIM swapping and such other activities. So my question would be, how do we guard our youth from becoming criminals online to actually being productive? Just a bit of what I was asking. Because you can make money from criminal activity in the gig economy, and you can make money legitimately. So what as KEPSA do you think the government should do or put in place as a policy to grow this sector in a legitimate manner?
Yeah, a very valid question. I think the innovation of our young people is really very high. And what we've been trying to do is, well, we have to allow innovations to thrive. It has to be done then in the correct way and within the right frameworks and within the right policy structures. And part of the reason why most young people, you find themselves probably weighing off from what is really the best way to do it is a question of lack of opportunities. And we've been trying to educate and create awareness that there are ethical ways in which you can still be able to use your skills in cybersecurity and still, thrive, positively without causing harm or damage to other, important, elements, including citizens. And so for government, I think that doubling down on creating awareness, because there are variable programs that are really giving, young people an opportunity for you to get skilling, an opportunity for you to get access to digital work, an opportunity for you really to get an internship. I think creating awareness of those platforms is very important. The second thing is actually taking opportunities closer to where people are. And, thinking about the, sprawling innovation hubs, think about the accelerator programs that are running across the country. And as we create those access points where people can actually go there, get the right information, get the right tool, and get the right guidance as well. I think we've alluded the aspect and the importance of mentorship is a core intermediator in helping people know where the opportunities are and also how to grow and thrive positively in a manner that you don't cause harm. And so we are looking into a future where the government should be able to provide what we call large-scale education on advanced skilling. It's a question of young people are doing this because they're more advanced, they're ahead of their time. And I always say that young people are no longer now recipients of our programs. They are actually a partner and a core driver of the transformation that we've been seeing in the digital economy. And that's the reason why this conversation is centering around them, because of the creativity and innovation that they bring, but also more importantly, looking at it from a business perspective. It actually represents the future of a business, the future market. So their ability to have income also allows them to make consumption decisions, also makes them an ability to contribute economically to the country. So I believe giving them more awareness, creating opportunities where they can access services properly would help them to become, to use their skills and their talent more positively to build the country and to build the continent.
Thank you very much. Eric, it has been said that only 1% of us are online. Now, how do we get the 99% of us that are offline online so that we are able to participate in this gig economy effectively?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about the same thing when you mentioned, but I thought of something like M-Pesa as a product success story in Kenya. We need to build on that, right? We need to make people aware that there's an ability to actually access consumerism through being online, and but also to make them aware of the dangers, right? So that they don't fall in the trap of becoming part of criminal activity. So I think there's a big, important responsibility on government and public sector as well as the private sector to help enable the access to that market. I spoke about that earlier. I really believe there's such a massive market. You know, the informal sector in Africa is huge. There's a huge informal economy that we need to tap into, and we need to get them to accept technology as a way to access, you know, goods and consumer items. So I think if we can put a lot of effort in enabling that, immediately we'll have a lot of young people. I mean, the majority of Africans are young. If you look at the statistics, they are willing, they want to be part of it. So create the understanding of the opportunity in the gig economy, which means they can have a means of generating an income, which is what they want, so that they can become a consumer and get into those markets. And that's what we need to put effort in. It's enabling them to understand the opportunity and then embracing it in a way that talks to their life at this stage, right? And I think that's the way we can bridge it, and through training, through awareness, but also to have that responsibility to teach them that there are enormous security risks around this, around privacy, around being abused, and make sure that they're aware of that, right? So when they engage, that they're armed to be able to do that, to exploit the opportunity rather than to be exploited.
Thank you very much. Juma, on your end, you have the opportunities for training youth from what you have told us. Now, how does someone get access to these opportunities that you're offering?
Well, thank you so much. How and where? I think we do collaborate with the Ministry of Information and Communication and Digital Economy. I think Michael presented in the morning that there's a digital skills curriculum that has been, that is going to bring a bit of order in our sector. I think there's been a lot of confusion when it comes to digital literacy in Kenya. And I think the ministry has taken that bold step to put in place a curriculum or a yardstick that we need to measure ourselves against from the foundational, the basic, intermediate, and advanced level. So we are supporting the ministry to implement that curriculum and also to reach the 20 million citizens that I had alluded to earlier. So our opportunities are usually delivered through partners. So we do deliver through implement partners. So for example, the project I referred to in Busia and Mandera, we deliver that through Kiktanet, Kenya ICT Action Network. We are currently having a program going on in Wajir, Garissa, Elgeyo Marakwet, and Mandera, delivering that through the African Center for Women in ICT. We also have an ongoing project in Nakuru, Nairobi, Mombasa, being delivered through British Council. So these calls go out on their respective websites. They are pushed out through social media channels, as well as on ICT Authority's website. And also to mention that we also deliver this through the ICT Authority Smart Academy.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if we forget everything else you have told us, what must we remember from this conversation? Starting with you, Juma.
Anything you should take away from this is that the young people require jobs now and not tomorrow. And that job should actually be made available in their rural spaces where they stay. Before we start showing them where those other opportunities are, but there's still a lot they can still do in their villages as community digital champions. Thank you.
Eric?
For me, I think it's not difficult. Right? We have to just do it. And invest in young people, create those trees that we're not going to be sitting under. It's not difficult. We just need to have the will to do it and to elevate ourselves to become the prize of the world.
Edna?
I think for me is young people are a critical component of gig work and the gig economy. So let us make it more accessible. Let us give them an environment where they're able to access, grow, and thrive while earning a dignified wage and making it as inclusive as possible to the disadvantaged, to the refugees, to the persons with disability to also thrive in the gig economy. Thank you.
Daktari?
For me, Africa is ready for transformation, and therefore every job counts. And therefore the focus should be, how do we make our continent productive, its people productive, businesses productive, but also governments productive in such a way that they help us to be able to create opportunities for everyone. I believe artificial intelligence is one way that we can double down on if we want to enhance the productivity of our continent.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As I promised, we will not stand between you and lunch. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your time. Asanteni sana and karibuni lunch.
Thank you, Pauline, and your panel. As you receive your hampers, you know, some of the things when you talk about gig work is we forget that there are multiple layers. Some of the benefits that most of us in the room already have, because you've got a job, then you've got an insurance cover that comes with the job. Where are the social protections around gig work? Even as we encourage the youth to go into them, would you be willing to get into gig work when some of those things that you may, for example, take for granted are not readily available? We talked about digital infrastructure. We've had conversations about net neutrality. How do we then drive that connectivity component, and who's going to bear that cost? Remember, we said we must have the hard conversations, must ask the hard questions, and see where we get to that. One of the other things that I think remains unsaid is how many of us in this room can actually say that they know of a local gig platform built in Africa, made for the continent? How many of us can say that? No hands are going up. You know, fits the bill. Most of us already adopt or look towards global platforms, and it's a high time we think of then building out solutions that relate to our own ones. Kibandi, your thoughts?
Thank you. For me, I think what my key takeaways were about inclusion, bridging that digital divide through connectivity, through training, fair compensation, turning the skills into streams and passion into paychecks, awareness of the policy frameworks, the data privacy, and all of that thing, turning the gig wave into sustainable and dignified livelihoods. And I think one of the key things that I think probably people would want to remember is where to go for these skills, training opportunities, and as it was rightly highlighted that the digital skills curriculum together with the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy is there, and so they can seek the training there.
Excellent. One of the conversations I had earlier this morning was with a gentleman who was part of the team that set up Cloud Foundry, looking at also how to extend these gig work opportunities across the continent. And I'd like to pose a challenge because I know we've got two of the largest telcos in the room. Dotted line to my earlier comment on net neutrality or zero data. How about we challenge ourselves to do a pilot where we can then open up local gig platforms to something that are essentially free to access to the youth. One of the telcos here, Safaricom, already has a youth-specific product that has over, I think, approaching 7 million youth. If you're above the age of 24, you cannot access the service. You just dial in and it tells you, sorry, this service is not for you. So how can we connect all these different things to drive some of the impactful resolutions from our time here together? And ladies and gentlemen, it's about time for lunch.
Yeah.
Always a great time, right? And as we prepare to go for lunch, again, I implore you to download the app. If you look on your lanyard, at the end of your lanyard on your name tag, there are 2 QR codes there. please download the app. For example, there's been a change for something happening on Wednesday morning. The AmCham and Microsoft event is now open and the agenda is on there. You do require to register for it, however, you can only do that if you get the link through the app. So after lunch, there are 4 tracks that we'll be looking at. At Dr. Meister Hall, which is where we are, we'll be having the Climate and Technology Solutions breakout. At Jumuika, which is out this door to my left, we'll be looking at 5G and connectivity. Right next to that, there's the Kongamano breakout room that will be focused on BPO. And I'm really interested in hearing more about this mini BPO opportunities. If you can have a BPO of 1, for example. And of course, within the exhibition area, to the far end of that, there's a great space called the Innovation Stage, and there we'll continue conversation on the future of work. Just a reminder, if you feel that you need to be in multiple sessions, do not worry, we'll have rapporteurs who will capture the outputs. All the sessions are also recorded, and this information or this content will be distributed right after that. Once again, a big thanks to our sponsors. Because of time, I don't think we'll run through them. So we'll see you back here for the breakouts at 1 hour's great for lunch and conversations, right?
Yes.
1 hour's good. So we'll see you back here at exactly 2:30. Enjoy your lunch. Bon appetit. The teams outside will direct you where the lunch area is. For the ladies and gentlemen right at the front, kindly follow me. The PS is waiting to receive you.
Mimi niko digital sasa. Nimepiga simu nikauza ng'ombe, sasa naweza lipia mtoto karo ya shule. Huyu sasa shule anasoma kompyuta. Na kama mtoto akigonjeka, napigia daktari simu. Huko hospitali nasaidika haraka.
Through the Universal Service Fund, USF, the Communications Authority of Kenya, CA, facilitates the provision of diverse communication services to every part of the country so that no one is left behind. The Communications Authority of Kenya, opening your world.
Nia Fiber Group Limited is a manufacturing company of fiber optic cables. This is ADSS cables, duct cables, fiber to the home. Nia Fiber was founded in 2018 as a trading company, but up to last year, July 2023, we started our manufacturing.
Being the one and only manufacturer in Kenya and East Africa, we are really focused on our quality, and we check all the raw materials before the production. And after doing that stage of production, we again have a quality assurance check that certifies that this product is all okay and it can be passed to the next stage of the production.
What makes Nia Fiber unique is we source our materials from the world-renowned top manufacturers. When you buy cables from Nia Fiber, we deliver to you within 2 weeks within the East Africa region. Within Kenya, we can also deliver you goods within 2 or 3 days. And what puts us also unique is we discuss with the customer on their specifications. An example in this case is ICT Authority asked us to do an aqua cable with 2 red stripes on their cable. Nia Fiber were able to be that flexible.
We have the world's latest machinery which we can do the production of fiber optic cables with a very good high speed and accuracy.
We currently produce, since we started, up to 12,000 kilometers of cable. 30% has gone to export. Since we started Nia Fiber manufacturing, we have created employment opportunity of more than 50 direct staff. We have also experts that we brought into the country who are transferring knowledge to the local people, and now they're able to run the machine.
Let's talk about the evolution of cybersecurity. You know it, we know it. This industry moves at light speed. Remember the 90s? The internet was young, dial-up modem was screaming, and everyone thought cybersecurity meant having a really good password. That's when we invented the first commercial firewall. While the world was still figuring out what to do with email, we were already building the foundations of enterprise security. For some people, Check Point's story ends there. A dusty old firewall company. But time in tech is funny. Blink and you might miss the revolution. The new millennium hit, and suddenly cyber threats were evolving faster than boy band hairstyles. That firewall, that was just the beginning. Then came the 2010s, a digital tsunami, cloud computing, mobile everything, and even toasters connected to the internet. That's right, toasters. The future's weird like that. Security had to evolve from protecting networks to protecting, well, everything. So we did this, we did that, we did what needed to be done. Fast forward to now. And yes, space cybersecurity. That's right, our technology is protecting space rockets. Bet you didn't see that coming in '94. And now, AI powers threats in ways we could never have imagined. Who could have guessed? Well, we could. Because this is what we've been training for all along. All that evolution has led us here. The most sophisticated AI threat intelligence engine out there. Powered by countless enforcement points. Built on 3 decades of cybersecurity insight, achieving an unprecedented 99.9% prevention rate. But it's not just about protecting networks or clouds or even space rockets. It's about protecting your business. That's the Check Point story. It's yours too. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every next big thing. We're in this together. That's security in action, every step of the way. And the next chapter? It's gonna be legendary.
As a person living with different abilities, working online has really given me the impact.
The Ajira Digital Program aims to empower over 1 million young people with digital job opportunities.
The program introduces young people to digital and digitally enabled work by providing the tools, training, and mentorship needed to work and earn an income with dignity, and is continuously improving living standards of youth globally.
And in transcription, you can get a lump sum of around 50,000, 40,000.
Through hii ajira, tumejua kwamba kumbe vitu unaweza weka online na upate pesa. Hivyo ndio ajira imenisaidia.
Trade has always been a powerful engine for economic prosperity. And today, nowhere is that potential for growth more urgent or more promising than in Africa. Right now, just 15% of African trade happens within the continent. The African Continental Free Trade Area can change that to unlock new markets, new industries, and therefore new jobs for millions of people across Africa. But to seize that, there needs to be a different approach which pulls down the barriers, cuts through the red tape, and brings trade fully into the digital age, harnessing the power of the technology revolution. That's why I'm proud that my institute is part of the governance framework of the new Twin Foundation that is being launched in Lusaka today. Twin, the Trade Worldwide Information Network, is a digital infrastructure for global trade built on emerging technologies. It has been tested, it works, and it can make trade faster, cheaper, more transparent, and more inclusive than ever before. So Twin is not just a piece of technology, it's a transformation, a foundation that will allow countries to modernize their trade systems, connect across borders, and realize the true promise of global trade. It's about building a digital public infrastructure that every government, every business, large or small, can access and can trust. Its strength is that it's easy to connect into existing systems, and so the investment for it is low. It's about ensuring global trade growth is powered not by bureaucracy and paper, the old-fashioned way, but by innovation and opportunity. Most importantly, Twin is built through partnership. Institutions, international organizations, forward-looking governments, all working together to deliver real and lasting change. The future of global trade, especially today, runs on digital rails. The